4 in a row. Is that just Tylor Reddick being too good this season? Or is there something more to it than meets the eye? Drivers are lashing out at Tylor Reddick after a win that some people immediately tried to turn into a cheating scandal. But when you actually slow it down, this story is a lot more about contact, timing, and frustration than any proven rule breaking. NASCAR's post-race technical inspection concluded without issue, confirming Reddick as the winner. Because the second that race ended, people weren't only talking about how fast Tylor Reddick was, they were talking about the bump with Chris Buescher coming to pit road, the pressure he put on Brad Keselowski during the winning pass, the no. 45 team radio blaming a late call, and whether a driver this hot is simply outrunning the field or getting away with too much. And it didn't just stay inside the garage either. It exploded online almost instantly. I was scrolling through reactions, and it got intense fast. One fan wrote, "Keeping up that trend of turning a blind eye to 2311, blatantly cheating." Another said, "You'll never convince me the settlement wasn't 2311 can cheat." And then there were comments like, "Yeah, clear, after week after week, NASCAR is letting the cheating slide." Even more people pointed to the bigger picture, saying things like, "Damn, the lawsuit settlement really included turning a blind eye to illegal 2311 cars?" While others questioned the performance jump entirely. How fortunate that mid-drivers like them are suddenly putting mid-cars in the top 3 every week. So whether you agree with it or not, the cheating narrative didn't come from nowhere. It blew up immediately, and that's what we're covering today. The win, the controversy, the reactions, the underdog story, and the reality behind the cheating angle. So let's start with the most basic truth here. Tylor Reddick won the Goodyear 400 at Darlington, and he did it by overcoming a race full of problems. Official NASCAR race results show Reddick won by 5.847 seconds over Brad Keselowski, with Ryan Blaney 3rd, Carson Hocevar 4th, and Austin Cindric 5th. He led 77 laps, started from the pole, and picked up his 4th win in the first 6 races of the 2026 Cup Series season. That makes this bigger than just another Sunday trophy. NASCAR's official race recap notes that only twice before had a Cup driver won 4 of the first 6 races in a season. Dale Earnhardt in 1987 and Bill Elliott in 1992. Reuters echoed that same historical context, putting Reddick's start firmly into elite company territory. So whether people love him right now or are tired of seeing him win, this run is real, and it is already one of the biggest stories of the season. And honestly, that's why the controversy is sticking so hard. If this were a random 7th place guy stealing one race with a weird caution, the noise wouldn't be nearly as loud. But when it's the same driver winning for the 4th time already, from the same 2311 camp that has looked ridiculously sharp all year, every piece of contact suddenly gets examined like it must mean something deeper. That's just how NASCAR works when one driver gets hot enough to make the rest of the garage uncomfortable. Now, here's the part that makes the victory even more impressive. Reddick wasn't cruising around with a perfect race car all afternoon. NASCAR's recap says he had voltage issues on lap 2, an internal alternator problem, a slow pit stop, and had to manage electrical drains by shutting off comfort systems. He also had to pit before pit road officially opened so the team could change the battery, which sent him to the rear for the Stage 2 restart. That's why his own post-race quote landed the way it did. Reddick said, "I know never to give up. I think it's very fitting that when we finally get our first win here at Darlington, that the Lady in Black would test us like that. We've been so close so many times. I mean, lap 1, we had the charging problem where the battery wasn't charging at all day long, just not running fans. Sweat my tail off inside the race car, and we knew it was going to be physical." That's a great Darlington quote because it sounds exactly like what the place does to drivers. It drags them through something first, then asks if they still deserve to win. ESPN's race report filled in the same picture from another angle. It described the battery issue, the cool suit turning into a problem instead of a help, and Reddick pumping water out of the suit during a later stop because the system had started cooking him in the heat. That's why I don't think this was some cheap, lucky win. Even if fans are mad about the contact, the overall drive was a grind. And then you get to Michael Jordan, who clearly understood how hard that drive was. NASCAR's official recap quoted Jordan saying, "You know, you never know what's going to happen, especially at Darlington. I think that the key to him winning was just keeping his head. I think Billy did a good job of trying to keep him calm. We knew we had a fast car. We just had to get the car right. And he kept his composure, and he did an unbelievable job." Fox's post-race coverage added Jordan, saying he was really proud of the team. And that part matters because Jordan wasn't celebrating some gimmick win. He was celebrating composure. That's the word that keeps coming up around Reddick right now. Fast, yes. Aggressive, absolutely. But also composed. And when a driver is both fast enough to erase 7 seconds and calm enough not to unravel when the car is trying to cook him alive, that is usually the kind of combination that makes rivals start looking for other explanations. One of the other big stories from the race was Carson Hocevar. And I wanted to keep this in here because his day tells you just how strange Darlington was. NASCAR's official post-race coverage said Hocevar finished 4th after starting at the rear because of an unapproved adjustment. Front Stretch added that he had shown speed all weekend, had already gotten a Darlington stripe in qualifying, went a lap down early, then charged back with the fastest car on the final run to finish as the highest Chevrolet. That's a huge result for him. Front Stretch said the finish moved Hocevar from 15th to 13th in the standings and put him 12 points above the playoff cut line. So, while the headlines were all about Reddick again, Hocevar quietly turned a messy weekend into one of the most important recovery drives in the field. Darlington has a way of rewarding drivers who refuse to let the day die on them, and that's exactly what he did. Now let's get to the part everyone wanted to scream about, the Chris Buescher contact. This is where the phrase cheating scandal really falls apart. On3 reported that Buescher himself did not come out raging at Reddick. In fact, Buescher's reaction was calmer than the internet's. He said, "It's just racing. Ultimately, it's just racing. We were really fast today. Proud of everybody. That was just a big move to set ourselves up to win the race, and it didn't work out. We're coming here trying to